Well, we switch from the excitement of the Indian Premier League to the UEFA Champions League. Congrats to the Rajasthan Royals. What a victory there. Last ball, a win over the Kolkata Knight Riders. And Just Butler with an amazing innings after we saw something brilliant from Sunil Narine earlier in the day. So a really fabulous cricket game. But it's on to football now. 18 goals across 4 quarter-final matches. The first legs of the UEFA Champions League, of course, did not disappoint. And today, Tuesday, April 16, we'll know 2 of the semi-finalists. Let's recap the first leg results. Arsenal 2, Bayern Munich 2, Real Madrid 3, Manchester City 3, Paris Saint-Germain 2, Barcelona 3, Atletico Madrid 2, Borussia Dortmund 1. So Atletico Madrid and Barcelona both come into the second legs today with advantages. Will the Spanish sides make it? The Catalan Giants are at home, while Atletico Madrid, they are in Germany tonight. It's a pleasure to be with you once again for Champions League coverage. We are live from our Sportsmax headquarters on Ocean Boulevard in Kingston, Jamaica. My name is Donald Oliver. Let's meet the panel. Leger Williams is here in studio with me. His mind is, of course, totally on the fixture. Tomorrow, Arsenal, of course, looking to turn around against Bayern Munich. No, he's here today. He'll be fine. Mara Ramrak is also here in studio. She'll be providing the stats and facts of the matches ahead. She also won't be thinking about her beloved Manchester City for the time being, at the very least. Online is Juan Arango, our chief South American football correspondent, who continues to be the vessel of wit and vernacular throwdowns. And of course, the Trinidad and Tobago football legend, Brent Sancho, the betting man's southern star. Gentlemen, lady, thank you so much. Welcome to the show. We have a pretty truncated preview, but we're going to go through it quickly. And I just want your reactions firstly to what took place in the first leg, if it kind of fit the storyline that you had in your own mind. Let's just start with you.
Yeah, for the most part, I think all of the games were of a really high quality. I think all 8 teams showed the quality that they have, not only from an offensive point of view because there were goals, but I think all managers made adjustments throughout all of the games and made the games really interesting tactically as well. So I expect more of that in the second leg for sure.
Yep. Brent, what are your thoughts on the first leg?
Yeah, it went to script, really. We expected Atletico Madrid to come out to the gates firing, which they did. I was a little bit surprised with their second half performance, but I'm very sure Diego Simeone and the rest of his team are comfortable going into a second leg of a tie being in front.
Any surprises on your end?
In terms of how the final results ended, no, not surprised. But in terms of how they got there, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of excitement. There was a lot of drama. There was a lot of uncertainty in terms of how teams would be able to come back, yet they were able to all find a way. Hopefully that ends up kind of following suit in the second round.
Well, let's switch our discussion to matches today, and we start with Borussia Dortmund versus Atletico Madrid. Well, they are considered to be 2 of the more unfancied teams, but they gave us a bit of a show in the first leg, and now things are interestingly poised. Let's recap.
Welcome to the Fortress Metropolitano. 2 teams were long overdue a place in the semi-final. Who's to say the European champions won't come from this tie? Well, that's a poor ball away. Griezmann's onto it, and so was De Paul. And De Paul scores, and Atletico Madrid are ahead in 4 minutes. Gifted to Rodrigo De Paul. Him off Hummels, he was unsighted by his teammate. Now Griezmann, little flick ball, big chance for 2. It is 2. It's Samuel Lina, and it's another horrible piece of Borussia Dortmund defending. And Atletico Madrid are 2-0 up inside 32 minutes. Griezmann with the free kick in. Gone all the way through, and a brilliant chance to surely wrap it up for Samuel Lina. Massive opportunity.
Kerbal gets across and makes a brilliant save.
Now it's about to come on, centre forward for... Oh, very nearly through to Haller. Does come to Haller! And Dortmund are back in the time. Sebastian Haller off the bench to get a goal that could be so important for the German side.
Absolutely massive for Dortmund. And that is the end of the game. Great tie. It'll only get better next week as well.
I just knew that just one goal was much important for the hope, and everything can happen now at home.
Sebastian Haller there, maybe changing the dynamic of the tie, you think, Leger?
Yeah, I think so. I think it gave Dortmund an extra bit of hope going into the second leg. Dortmund didn't start the best, especially in the first half, but in the second half they created a myriad of chances, although Atletico probably should have been up a bit more, at least one more goal going into the end of that game. But once Dortmund got their goal, they started creating chances. They were much more dynamic on the flanks, and I think that Atletico on a whole, they're under a bit more pressure now going into the second leg than what they would have hoped for at least.
One, we spoke about Borussia Dortmund being hot and cold, and we saw from that first leg, especially how they started, where they were pretty cold, making quite a few defensive mistakes. I want to know your thoughts as to if it was more of them slacking up at the back, or it was just a matter of Atletico Madrid being sharper on the day.
There was a combination of both, to be honest with you, because we did talk about last week the fact that we saw a Dortmund side that throughout the season had their slip-ups here and there. Maybe in terms of form, they ended up being solid, and they had their hiccups during matches, but they were able to revert their situation as of late. But when things don't go well for Dortmund, they end up going downhill for them very quickly, as we saw during that portion between, I guess you could say, late November and early January, where they ended up, or excuse me, late January, I should say, where they ended up slipping and losing a lot of points and thus being out of the Bundesliga race. But it's a team that ends up being erratic at times in certain spots and important spots, and are very tough to come out when the match starts. So again, how they start this match is going to be very crucial for them.
And Brent Haller is going to be missing from this game. Of course, he's had a brilliant year so far, especially with what he achieved in the African Cup of Nations. But he lasted only 5 minutes in the matchup with Borussia Mönchengladbach over the weekend. They're really going to be missing him.
Yeah, he's been a miss, hasn't he? And certainly when you look at the kind of form he was in coming into Dortmund, of course, his unfortunate situation, and he hasn't really recovered 100%. Yes, he had a good African Nations Cup, but they need someone with his presence, a good focal point, and he's missing a bit. I'll add Malin to that as well. Well, obviously he played in the last leg, but he's back fit as well, so I think he would be a good addition to them. Sancho as well would be back in. So I think from an attacking perspective, they have the players there to get a result. The question is, can they be fully concentrated and play a full 90+ minutes of football to be able to get a result? That has always been Dortmund's problem throughout the season. Very inconsistent, even in the 90-minute span plus. And they need to have almost a perfect game here today to get a result against Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, and I know that the yellow wall will be backing them all the way, and we're looking forward to seeing how the crowd will push them, if they can, over the line. Mariah Ramarak is in studio, and of course she has some stats and facts for us. Mariah?
Yes, thank you for that, Donald. Well, what do the numbers say about Dortmund heading into this fixture? Well, Dortmund have lost 3 of their last 5 and both of their last 2 Champions League meetings with Atletico. Although the German side were 4-0 winners the last time they hosted the La Liga club in the 2018-2019 group stage. Note, Dortmund have lost just one of their previous 17 Champions League matches at Signal Iduna Park. So this venue seems favourable for Dortmund. If they manage to avoid defeat here, it will be the first time they've gone 10 consecutive home games in the European Cup or Champions League without losing. They're certainly not without hope, either considering Dortmund have progressed through 8 of 16 knockout ties in major European competitions, despite losing the first leg away from home. Now to Atletico Madrid. They will be hoping to capitalize on their first leg advantage. Atletico will be hoping to reach the last 4 of the UCL for the 4th time under Diego Simeone. having achieved the feat already in 2013 and 2014, that 2015-2016 season and 2016-2017 season. The only manager to get to the semis on more occasions with the same team is Sir Alex Ferguson with Manchester United. That's 7. So the numbers, they also focus a lot on Antoine Griezmann, whose 23 chances created in this year's Champions League can only be bettered by Barcelona's Ilkay Gundogan. That's 24. So Donald, Antoine Griezmann, are you expecting goals from him today?
Griezmann?
Yeah.
Maybe. Because I was pretty idle yesterday when I went by the Sportsmax Instagram page and did a little quiz and said that Atletico Madrid would actually win. Not sure why I said that, but as I said, I was a little idle.
Have you changed your mind?
Actually, no, I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
I'm going to be very brave about it. I'm sticking with it. They're going in Germany and they're going to come away with a draw.
All right.
Having said that, though, they've only won once on the road, Leger. This season it was against Feyenoord. Is that concerning for you looking on?
Yes, because I think I spoke last week about Atletico and how they've been setting up and how Simeone has really changed around his tactics a lot to be much more possession-based, be much more aggressive in attack. But we have seen them in these big European games. We saw it in the first leg against Inter Milan, where they reverted back to type. They were much more defensive, invited Inter Milan onto them, and they were pretty fortunate to not collect a really big score or a really good beating on that day. And I think if they were to go to Dortmund with that type of mindset, that type of attitude, and allow Dortmund to come on to them, they don't quite have the defensive nous that they once had to keep out teams like they did before. So I think it would be better on them for them to still be brave, still try and push forward in an attacking sense and try and get the better of Dortmund in a more of a tit-for-tat battle as opposed to trying to invite Dortmund, because I don't see that ending well for them.
Juan, but is that true though? Because I consider that they return to type. Wouldn't that be in their DNA to hold off Dortmund, or do you think, and agree with Leger, that it's going to be too much?
Yeah, but also at the same time, they're sitting back waiting for Dortmund to make a mistake. I mean, we're comparing an Inter Milan side that is very solid in all their lines, that rarely does make mistakes at the back or rarely made mistakes at the back. And you're comparing it against a Dortmund side that does leave you susceptible, especially if they start pressing way too high. And you do have players that offer you that balance. One big absence that Atletico Madrid is going to have today is going to be no Lino over on that left side as a left wing back, since they'll go with a back line of 5. Lino won't be at that left wing back, I should say. It'll be Cesar Azpilicueta that'll be taking his place. So you do have a bit more balance, maybe not as much offensive pressure going in that sector, but Azpilicueta not only offers you the leadership, but also offers you a good defensive presence in that sector as well.
Brent, I only have time to get predictions from you, all around really, but I'm starting off with you, Brent. What are you going for here?
Yeah, that's a surprise. I'm surprised. Very surprised. I'll go with 1-1. It's going to be a draw.
We almost kind of agree. I was going for the draw as well. Juan, what are your thoughts?
I'm going in that avenue as well. I'll even go one further. I'll probably even go scoreless.
Right in Atletico's hands. Leger, what do you think?
I think Dortmund win the game, and this one is going to penalties.
Mariah, your thoughts?
I think Atletico wins this one. Atletico Madrid. Let's say 1-0.
The second leg or the tie?
The second leg, 1-0.
Wow, that's a big call. All right, so that's all the time we have for now. We take a break, but when we return, we'll take a look at our featured game, Barcelona versus Paris Saint-Germain. It's going to be a big one. It really is. Stay with us.
UEFA Champions League champion facing champion for a place in the last four. Ronaldinho has represented both these clubs. He's getting the rock star treatment on a parade around the pitch. Here's Lewandowski. Back from Yasmin Amal, and it comes to Rafinha, who makes the most of this chance with his right foot. And Barcelona have the lead. Deserved scorer of the opening goal of this quarter-final. Mbappe does get there. Aho not very far away. Dembele. Oh, he's right with it in. Just what Luis Enrique wanted. A strong start to the second half. Fabian Ruiz, it's a lovely ball for Coutinho. What a turnaround here in Paris. Beautifully worked again. Within 5 minutes, a 1-0 lead has become a 2-1 deficit. Rafinha, what to take. What a finish. He made it 1-0, now he's made it 2-2. The last 15 minutes as Gundogan flips it in, and headed in by Christensen, who's been on a matter of seconds. And Barcelona have the lead in this roller-coaster of an evening here in Paris. Of all people, Andreas Christensen got the goal that takes Barcelona back to Spain with a 3-2 advantage for the second leg, and I can't wait.
Well, he won't be involved. Christensen, he picked up a yellow card after he scored that goal. So it's disappointing for Barcelona, who did really well to come away with a win in Paris. And Rafinha was the one who scored a couple of goals there. I remember when the transfer was done from him to move from Leeds to Barcelona, there were so many question marks around if he's a Barcelona type player. But what he brings to this team, Leger, is industry, doesn't he?
Yeah, industry, and also he's one of the best creative passers from wide areas in world football. Isn't necessarily the best at, obviously he's Brazilian, he's going to beat his man, he's a very good dribbler, but in creative passing, ball striking in all facets of the game, I think Rafinha is a very quality winger, and he showed that in the first leg, was probably the best winger on the pitch as well, and that's very impressive when you have the likes of Ousmane Dembele, Kylian Mbappe also on the field. Lamine Yamal has been so impressive. It was really Rafinha who stole the show for Barcelona in terms of attacking.
Yeah, you're right. But there was another player who had a bit of a cameo, Juan Arango. Goodness me, he came off the bench, in the 60th minute, 50 seconds later he was involved in Rafinha's equalizer in the second half. What a performance from Pedri coming back from a thigh injury.
Yeah, I mean, Pedri is just one of those players that offers you something different in the middle. And Barca at that point lacked that little something in the middle that was required for them to make a difference. And as soon as he was able to get that touch, I don't even think it was a few minutes, maybe even a first couple of touches that he had, he ends up making the difference in that match. So it shows you how much of a difference he makes. He'll be starting today. So again, another headache for PSG as they're looking to reshuffle their pieces as well. So always Pedri gives you that X factor. And at what times I was very hesitant early in his career to kind of impulse him into that next level, but he on his own merits has been able to do a great deal to impulse himself, propel himself into that next level of recognition.
Brent, talk to me about the absence of Christensen and of course Sergio Roberto, who will be missing this second leg. These are massive figures in this Barcelona setup.
Yeah, they're big pieces in the puzzle. I don't think necessarily the vital pieces for their puzzle. Christensen does and have been playing almost in that, well, not almost, he's playing in that sixth role and has done quite well. And a lot of that is down to the fact that Araujo and Kabasi has been doing so well at the back for them as centre halves. Of course, Roberto brings that experience and ability on the ball. So they are missed. I think they would have played, whether they come off the bench or would have played a part in the game if they were able to play. But I think in what they have, and going back to what the boys have said in Pedri and what he brings, that X factor, as Juan has rightfully said, I think he can be a difference maker in this time, because I don't think the last performance by Barcelona was vintage Barcelona. It was efficient. They did well. Rafinha had a great game. But outside of that, I don't think it's something you write home about. But with Pedri coming into the side now, it gives them a genuine opportunity to put this tie to bed.
What a midfield they have, Leger. Big midfield. Talking about Frenkie de Jong, Pedri himself, Gundogan, a part of the midfield three. It looks wonderful on paper.
Yeah, most definitely. I think this game is going to be, as we'll go on to speak about PSG as well, but I think this game will be won and lost in the midfield, as most games of football usually are. But the amount of quality that is in the team for both teams in terms of the midfield, Gundogan, Pedri, and of course Frenkie de Jong, I think the only question mark will be who will be playing in that deepest lying role for Barcelona. Reports coming up before the game that it will be Frenkie de Jong, so I think it will be extremely interesting to see how he handles that. It's been well documented this season that, you know, when it comes on to defensive tracking at times, he can shut off at times. When it comes on to maybe ducking out of challenges, he's done that before as well. So it's going to be interesting out of possession to see how Barcelona cope, because PSG have also made alterations to their midfield setup. So it's going to be an extremely important battle within that middle third of the park for both teams.
Well, Mara is still with us, and I'm sure she has some interesting stats and facts for us ahead of this big game. Mara, what do you have for us?
Right, so now with regards to Barcelona, the five-time winners are aiming to reach the Champions League semi-finals for the first time in 5 years. Barcelona progressed from all 11 Champions League knockout ties that they recorded an away win in the first leg. So let's see if they can keep up with this trend. Well, PSG, as coach Luis Enrique reiterated the numbers in his pre-match press conference, PSG have never come back to win after losing a first leg. However, Enrique went on to say that Tuesday is the day. So the stats also show that PSG have not been eliminated from a Champions League quarter-final since our 3-2 aggregate defeat against Manchester City. That was in 2015-2016. So, Donald, are you planning to stick to the numbers, or is Luis Enrique onto something? And is today the day to change the numbers and, well, history?
You know what, Mara? You see, if I just stayed off social media and not be involved in what Sportsmax is doing on the Instagram page,
you have to be involved.
I'd be fine. But I went out on a limb again out of idleness by saying that PSG would actually go to the Nou Camp and actually win there.
What?
I actually said that, and it's because of one player in particular that I'm a huge fan of, Kylian Mbappe. We know that he's a part of the worst kept secret in sport. The fact that he's going to be going to Real Madrid in the summer. I think that he'd want to make a statement against his next arch rivals in his career. And he has done so at the venue. He scored a hat-trick there as well. And I anticipate a big performance from him. I just feel that way. But, you know, it may not be logical. Leger may correct me if that's logical.
I mean, it's never illogical to bet on the best player in world football, so I'm with you there. I'm not quite sure. I'm still mulling over my prediction for the game because, you know, I'm the prediction guru. I can't just go out on a limb and say stuff, so I'm still thinking about that. But as I said, it's never bad to bet on Kylian and Mbappe, and I know Mariah has all of the stats, but one stat that she didn't mention on this occasion is the fact that Kylian Mbappe has the third most UCL knockout away goals in history. Only Karim Benzema and Cristiano Ronaldo has more than him. Yes, he has more than even Lionel Messi already in this stage with 13 in 11 games. He has scored a hat-trick away to Barcelona already, as you mentioned, Donald. It would be quite not only illogical, but it would be quite insane to not bet on him to provide a really great performance here tonight.
So, Juan, you're saying that he's a factor.
I think Leger mispronounced Rodri wrong. So, first, for starters, he is a factor. The thing is that he was kept under wraps pretty good by Ronald Araujo. Now, how is he going to be able to create associations, and how is he able to open things up? Again, you're facing a Barcelona side. Yeah, he has pace, but then you have two central defenders that cover very well in Araujo, as well as Pau Cubarsí. So where does that end up playing? Now, can he do it individually? Yes, he can. He can carry this team in there. But PSG, one thing that you have to look at this lineup, and of course, one thing is playing at the Camp Nou, another thing is playing at Montjuic at the Estadio Olympique that they're playing today, is the environment. But also, Luis Enrique is not inventing and reinventing the wheels. My dad used to say, sometimes when you reinvent the wheel, you're kind of driving yourself off a cliff. Because what ends up happening with this PSG side now, and again, remember last week, Donald, when I was talking about the absence of Hakimi, he returns to the lineup. He comes in at right back, so you reshuffle all your pieces back together again. Emery Zaire also comes in as a starter. So you end up seeing the players that need to be there and should have been there in the first place give PSG a little bit. But the question at this stage and how they played in Paris is it enough?
Brent, Hakimi returning, I think that changes the dynamic because they looked a little bit out of sorts in the first leg, PSG. Him returning brings a little bit more balance, you feel?
Yeah, it brings a lot of balance. It brings stability, not just him, but the fact that, as Juan rightfully said, the positions get to rotate into something that they would call familiar, gives them a better chance at this football game. And it did have an impact on Mbappe display as well, although I would say that's one of the concerns I have with Kylian Mbappe is that next side. He is a good player, don't get me wrong, but there's particular skill sets that I think he does not have that doesn't give him that greatest tag, and I think he needs to develop with that as he goes along. He's still a young boy and still learning his trade, and he can get better. Yes, he's won a lot, he's done a lot, but he can still do more. So it does tell me capacity-wise, he could be one of the greatest, but he still has a lot to learn. But going back to the fact that what PSG presents now with the pieces is a genuine threat. That's why this tie is still, for me, still a bit open because of the Hakimi factor coming back in and the fact that PSG get back to their norm, and PSG at their norm can be very dangerous and can present a genuine challenge to Barcelona.
Brent, we're going to get back to those skill sets that you speak of that Kylian Mbappe he doesn't have. So think about it. But we're going to be taking a break now. When we return, we'll take a look at the starting lineups of both these teams as we prepare for kickoff at the top of the hour. PSG against Barcelona at Camp Nou. Stay with us. Yeah, the players are getting ready for kickoff at the top of the hour. I said Camp Nou earlier, but it's actually at Stadio Olimpico. Of course, the famous stadium is under renovation, but they are at this stadium, this venue, which would have hosted the Olympic Games quite a few years back, actually. I think it was 1992, and they are standing by to host this massive game, this Champions League encounter between Barcelona and, of course, Paris Saint-Germain. It's time to take a look at the starting lineups of these two teams, starting with Barcelona, of course. And yeah, we're speaking about, you know, the comparison of the midfield areas from both teams, and you take a look at this 11, the 4-3-3 formation, and the midfield three of Gundogan, De Jong, and Pedri, Leger, and it's just a mouth-watering prospect.
Yeah, it's a really balanced team as well. I said it's just the issue of who is going to play in that deepest line midfield role between Gundogan or Frenkie de Jong. I think Cancelo will offer good assistance going down the left-hand side. Koundé will hold his position to try and deal with the threat of Mbappe for PSG. Pau Cubarsí again will be extremely integral, 27 line-breaking passes since making his UCL debut, the second most in the competition. And of course, Lewandowski, the top striker that he is, and Lamine Yamal didn't have the best first leg, but I expect him to rebound here and prove the quality that he has been showing over the past couple of months.
One, you'd want Lewandowski to be a little bit more involved than he was in the first leg. Again, he leads the line. What are your thoughts on his performance and his integration here?
His overall, in terms of this tie, it's been very minimal. But if you have him in good form, and of course, I'm not even talking about now, I'm talking about this weekend as well. He has to be at his top form in order for Barcelona to be successful, get maximum points out of everything, and more importantly, be that additional threat, especially knowing that you're going to have Marquinhos coming back into the middle, and you need another threat inside of the area to be able to hold those two central defenders in the middle and really create a lot of problems for PSG. Obviously, everything else that Rafinha and also Lamine Yamal offer down the wings, that ends up being a very interesting extra, a very positive extra. But look at the benches. Look at the benches again. I always say that because Barcelona have maybe a little bit more depth than PSG, and if Lewandowski doesn't perform, you start looking at other options coming off, especially Joao Felix, who's been absolutely phenomenal this season coming off of it.
Well, we have to go through the PSG starting lineup pretty quickly now. And Brent, I know that you'll be glad with the fact that Hakimi is on the right-hand side of the defense and Marquinhos in his rightful place at centre-back.
Yeah, that is pivotal, and it's very important for PSG because when you look at the spacing and defensive organization that they had in the first leg, it was all over the shop. So that's critical. I think Vitinha in the middle of the park is extremely important as well. That battle between him and De Jong and Pedri, etc., is very pivotal. And of course, Ousmane Dembele, I was very critical of him on the first leg. Can he provide an end product that is essential for PSG to get a result?
Yeah, that's a big question, is it? I'm going to go straight to you, Brent, in terms of predictions for this one.
Shock.
Yeah. What are you thinking here? Who's going to take it?
It's a tough one. I tell you, it's a real tough one. And
we're going to go through it quickly. You have to give me a score.
I go with Barcelona 2-1.
Leger?
PSG 2-1, another extra time.
1.
Barcelona 2-1, and expect another bot job from Donnarumma, or at least 2.
Wow, Mariah.
1.
Barcelona 2-1. All right, we got to go. We got to head across there to Spain for this one. Barcelona against Paris Saint-Germain. Looking forward to it.